Oh man, is that a? Oh no, that's a Jurassic Park cup.
It's the new Jurassic World.
Oh, okay.
We got it as a souvenir cup when we went to see Doctor Strange.
I had misconstrued it for a Big Show SummerSlam cup,
Oh
and
no.
I had one of those growing up, and it just brought me back.
Was it wait, when you say new Jurassic World, is there a third Jurassic World that I
Yeah.
need to be aware of?
Yeah, it comes out in like a week.
I'm waiting for them to
Woo.
start labeling them like they labeled the Kingdom Hearts games. Jurassic World 2.5 remix redubbed
Jurassic World
Recoconuts
3.8.
With anime openings.
Yeah, maybe he's right.
Dude, the best one I saw, so there was like a phase a couple of years ago where people were just adding anime openings to like everything. And the one for The Force Awakens, where it was like the live action footage cut, but then they had it like synced up with, I can't remember what, I think it was like Fate Zero's opening or something like that, but it was fantastic. So
My
funny.
favorite anime opening is, besides Cory in the House, of course, is the SpongeBob anime opening that they did. Like, they drew all the SpongeBob characters, like, in anime style, and it was just like, I've never seen Squidward so intense. Like, my man's out here.
The
Two
jutsu he
things.
can pull off with 8 arms,
Dude, 8 pinkies? Nah, I don't think he has pinkies.
Two things. So,
Uh-huh.
pretty sure that anime opening, they used the Tokyo Ghoul theme.
Mhm.
And then I messaged you like a week or so ago about we made that joke about Cory in the House being the number one anime of all time.
Yeah.
Not our joke at all. Like it's a
No,
internet
that's a
joke for
really
sure.
old meme, yeah.
But do you know like about what happened to that dude, Kyle Massey?
No.
Dude
No.
got
No.
arrested.
Oh no.
I'm
Dude,
so
he
sick of
was
you every week. Like last week it was fucking dude from Power Rangers who
Yeah,
stabbed
Austin
his
St.
friend.
John.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no.
No,
That
not
was
Austin St. John. That was I can't remember the actor's name, but he plays Decker in Power Rangers Samurai.
yeah.
And he played another ranger in another one, and he stabbed his roommate. And
Yeah.
now you're telling
No.
me Cory from Cory in the House also is doing time?
Yeah, for
Breaks my
texting
heart.
a minor.
Oh. Well then
Oh.
fuck that guy. He doesn't have the
Yeah.
best anime. He can go fuck himself.
Yeah,
How about that?
child stars, they're just like other offenders.
Exactly. Yeah,
Deadass.
no graces. But yeah, no, that he was Cole in Wild Force, that Red Ranger. He was the one that did jail time for stabbing his roommate. In self-defense, according to everything that we read. We don't have all the information, obviously.
I was
but
like, that man really wanted his duel with the Red Ranger, and he fucking got it.
yeah. I'm so happy to be back. This last week was torture.
Yeah, you were telling me, and I was down under most of it. NyQuil, baby, all the way through.
Yeah, you've been sick. I was dealing with some family health issues here.
But now I could breathe through both nostrils. It's like,
Oh, that's like being born for the second time. That's like like what? It's that Old Navy commercial where the lady breathes and she's like, "What kind of lottery did my nose just win?" Oh, and she stands up and she's like, "Oh, what a gift!"
Oh, it smells like $8 t-shirts in here.
It sounds like a whole bunch of sickness had been going around though, because when I messaged Nate last week, I was also pretty sick last week, and so like you can see the remnants of it on my face. I had like blisters all over one side of my face. It was like a
Whoa.
two-face situation.
oh my god.
It was cold sores, but thankfully it's mostly gone away. But I also had like a fever and a cough and all this other stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to make some great audio. I can't wait to sit down and talk with everyone while I'm hacking up for." For 2.5 hours or however long that goes.
You had messaged me, and you're like, hey man, you're like, I could try to make it this weekend or the next one. Because I had messaged you at the beginning of the month, and then like, not again. Not on purpose, I just got busy. And then you messaged me, you're like, I've been a little sick. And I'm like, well, I'm a lot sick right now. So this works out for me.
Yeah, I think it ended up working out for the best. When you messaged me at the beginning of the week, I did not realize how busy this month or how sick I would be across this month either. And so, the timing turned out to be perfect.
Are you telling me you didn't schedule your sickness? Are you kidding me?
Oh, I didn't schedule my sickness. I could barely schedule the time that I was at home and sleeping for work the next day this whole week. So it all worked out. Today turned out to be the perfect day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
You were getting very sleepy.
Can I stop you for a minute?
Welcome back to Milktown.
We're here with the T-spin tyrant himself,
That's
bombsolomon.
me.
Now, I'm sorry,
Hello.
I'm unfamiliar. What is T-spin?
T-spinning is a technique in Tetris where you arrange the blocks and then you can squeeze in a T so it snaps into position in a way that it might not be able to in like older forms of Tetris. It was a advanced technique that was added sometime I don't know. Sometime after everyone finished playing Tetris on Game Boy, but now you can get bonus points for it and stuff like that. It's a thing that is a neat party trick while playing, and the source of this very generous nickname that Nate gave me a while back.
You gotta watch this man play like live. It's something else. He's too humble. He's all like, "Oh,
you butter me up too much."
No, he's all like, "Oh, I'm probably gonna lose this round," and then I watch him destroy everyone. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm opening the arena to play." I come in like 69th because nice. This man never places below like top 4. Like,
if only that were true. You're too kind, but
it's
yes,
crazy. I didn't realize A, there was such an audience for Tetris until I became the audience, and B, that so many people were so competitive with it. I mean, you can be competitive with anything, but it is nuts, dude. The Tetris culture is nuts.
I have to say two things here. One, Nate is entirely too kind. I am above average, but I'm not like a pro by any means. But yes, there is a really great Tetris community all over the place in different pockets of the internet. Competitive versus Tetris has existed for decades now. There's a great scene for both the versus, which is more of a battle between multiple people, and then there's also score chasing, which has existed for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite stories about score chasing is that a guy was just seeing he just happened to be looking up the world records for kind of an older school Tetris game, and then when he looked at it, he was like, "My wife could beat the pants off of this in her sleep. Like she exceeds this all the time." And so they got her set up with like the verifying body of these world records. And to this day, she blew past the record. She like completely annihilated it. And to this day, she's still, I think, in like the top 10 standings. Like that record that she made still stands because she was that awesome at it. And I was like, people have been playing this game for decades, and the old masters, they're untouchable. You never know that they exist, but they are out there.
I had as a child, it was a handheld game called Tetris 360. And the whole gimmick was you can turn it any way to make lines. Like you physically turned it, and it would, that would be your new bottom. So really the center was like where you would, get out per se or get eliminated. But I was never super good at it, but like it had a regular mode in case you just wanted to play up down. But I remember that, and then Disney's Magical Tetris is really fun for the N64. Those are the two Tetrises that I remember.
Yeah.
Tetrises.
Tetrises.
Tetrodes. But yeah, no, it's funny that you were like, yeah, you need to watch him play sometime. So obviously, like, I haven't met bombsolomon until tonight.
Yes, it's really great to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. But yeah, I went through earlier this week and I was rewatching some of your previous streams.
Oh no.
No. I got nothing but good things to say. But I uncovered something really funny that I wanted to share with Nate.
Oh no.
Because we've talked about this at length and how much it pisses him off. So
oh no.
I went back and I was kind of just browsing through the games on your channel. Like you had like Paper Mario and Tetris and stuff like that. And then I saw Shenmue and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch bombsolomon play Shenmue because I haven't seen anyone stream. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll check it out. I was watching that VOD.
What a time.
Oh, yeah. You trying to get the Oh, was it Akira? You trying to get the Akira little plastic guy?
Oh yes, yeah, the little gotcha toys.
Yes. But so Nate, I watched him. He raided into your VOD, and then you're like, Nate, how you been, buddy? It's been a minute since I've seen you, and I guess this was during one of Nate's longer breaks, and he came back, and he was like, yeah, I've been good. I've been thinking about streaming Ocarina of Time.
Oh, the origin of the bullshit. Oh.
I did. It's on the
saw the
Shenmue
origin.
1 VOD. Yep.
The evidence.
I'm gonna
of
go
the
watch
escape.
it. I'm gonna go watch it. That's where I effed up. Actually, no, that's actually where my channel started to get more traction. Like, it was doing pretty good, but I started playing this game that has posters up in the background, and which is funny because I hate Ocarina of Time. I'm notorious for, like, it's not amazing game design, and I'm tired of people acting like it is.
All of
It can
you,
be
all of you
fun.
guys playing all these games you don't like. What's up with this?
So
You know-
I always let the viewers vote on one. This is their one right now.
Too generous.
And
Such a
Pale is
giver.
not gonna.
Such a giver. Too generous.
Pale is not
time.
gonna like this this podcast episode because I again said I hated Ocarina, and that's his bread and butter. So I'm gonna drag Pale on one of my streams, and he's gonna help me finish it. And then I'm gonna go back to the spiral hole I crawled out.
I appreciate that the dedication is evident. You're finishing what you started.
Yeah,
If
that.
even if each moment of gameplay is like pulling a different tooth out of your mouth, like it's
Yeah.
you're still doing it.
We had Mr. Couple of Co-ops on, and he decided that he wanted to make a clip of me, the jerk. And so it's me going, yo, the child aspect of Zelda is great. But instead of saying like the child aspect, I said, yo, child dungeons, that part was great. So he goes ahead and clips that. Whenever I rated anybody and like, oh, let's give Nostalgia a shout out, I'm like, maybe let's not. Let's not hear me go, yo, child dungeons are great, because
Nate loves him some child dungeons.
I mean,
shaping
the
up to be a
words-
real Corey in the House episode around here.
the words are up here, and then they're out there, and then who knows where they go after that. That is definitely something that I have learned after doing this for I don't know, what is it, like close to 2 years now. Like sometimes words are everywhere. We just happen to record what we say most of the time.
I wanted to ask you how you started. Not because of the normal, how'd you get your start? Not because of that. But I remember one time I was chilling in your stream and someone came in and was like, you're still doing it? Wow, you're like the only person out of the group that's doing it. And I'm like, that means it was an old group. What was the old Solomon time? That's what I want to know about.
So that's very true. So back when how long ago was this now? This was already back in late 2018, mid 2019, somewhere in there. A bunch of friends here locally. I have a few friends who are really into Twitch culture. They were really into streaming games culture. I was much more of a YouTube kind of person. Like I would watch Let's Plays. I would watch stuff like that. And I would think about like, oh, do I want to dip into that world? Like that would be an interesting world to get into. And at the time I was also an avid listener to podcasts. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe podcasting is something that I want to do. And so slowly you buy equipment that you don't actually need. So I bought a mic, and I bought a camera, and I got the capture card because it was on sale. And I was like, well, I guess I'm doing this now. And so I would do that. Those friends, the reason that I got into it though is because those friends do Extra Life each year, which is a benefit for our local children's hospital. It's a 24-hour streaming marathon. They've raised thousands of dollars over the last like 6 or 7 years, and I would help them out with that. So that was my first real exposure to like streaming culture, even though it was just this one-off 24-hour thing. And then I found out, oh, people do this often. Like this isn't something that people do just as a one-off thing for charity. This is something that people do for I don't know, leisure, I guess, because I still didn't, and I still don't understand Twitch culture, like whatever.
I feel that.
Fast forward to like later 2019, I streamed just one-off little things, recorded one-off little things here and there. I wasn't really thinking about doing it regularly. Then the good old Panini hit in early 2020, and I was like, well, I'm here at home and I don't do anything else, so why don't I start doing something like this? And I started playing games more regularly on stream, started playing more Mario games, started playing more classic Nintendo games, and started establishing a schedule for myself just to keep it, like, okay, I'm going to do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever day. And then kind of go from there. And because, once I start doing something, the train never stops, I just kept doing it. And a few friends of mine at that same time were also getting the equipment to do it, capture cards, cameras, et cetera. One of them was doing Gun Plus, so Gundam model building. A few of them were playing other games. Some of them were doing Final Fantasy 14, like MMO stuff. But slowly the interest kind of started to drift away. Fads, they come and go. People just do whatever it is that they want. But yeah, so when you saw my friend come in and say, like, I can't believe that you're still doing this, it's true. I am the only person from that real life group of friends who still does Twitch regularly. I can't believe that I still do Twitch regularly because I was kind of the most resistant to it. I waited a very long time before saying, like, okay, I have all the equipment anyway. Like, we just try to see what's going on. But it's been really enjoyable. I've been able to connect with a lot of people I wouldn't have otherwise. I've been able to share games that, I like to think that, oh, you find people who have heard of this game that other people you never thought other people would have heard of. And just been again, like with the communities that I connect with, like I've met super expert Tetris players and like and all these other things that I never would have had a connection to, and it's been a lot of fun. And so that's why despite my friends kind of making light of it, they're all very supportive. It's been something that's kind of stuck with me because I'm a very internety person, I guess, and it turned out to be the right kind of thing to stick with.
So what you're trying to say is Twitch is temporary, bombsolomon is forever.
Yes. Once I do something, and if the train never stops rolling, so as long as I don't get distracted by whatever next shiny thing there is, I'll probably do this for God knows how long. But we'll I never would have imagined continuing to do it until now for sure. But I always say that about anything that kind of catches me for a long term.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I liken Twitch to so I'm not sure what the age gap here is, but do you remember being a kid and like going to a birthday party that was like stay the night and there's like one N64, there's only two controllers or whatever, and it's just like 12 people watching these two people play games, and just to me Twitch feels like that, which is why I like it.
I feel that. Yeah.
That was something that, because I was definitely the kind of person back in when was Smash 4? That was like 2014, 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine's younger brother, he would be like, oh, my younger brother is always watching Twitch. Like he's always watching other people play video games. And back then I was like, why would you ever do that? That sounds so boring. And as more of my closer friends started to get more into it, and then they explained like, no, this is what, this is kind of more what it's about. It's like, okay, I can kind of see it. And I was also being a hypocrite because I would be watching things like Super Beard Bros or Game Grumps like every day. And that's watching people play video games and listening to people have conversation. So it's the same thing, except just live. And once my brain kind of was able to process that, I was like, okay, I can see what this is about. I can see the appeal of this. It's not this kind of crazy concept like, why would you want to watch somebody play a game instead of playing it yourself? Like, that's part of it, but it's also, what does the person you're watching also bring to it? And I feel like that's something that I really had to understand before I understood like what all of that was accomplishing, I guess.
I don't know what Solomon brings to it, but I know it wasn't me. It wasn't me as my
you're on thin
favorite.
ice, buddy.
It wasn't me as my favorite redeem that bombsolomon.
It's the most illegal redeem on my channel.
It is very illegal.
It's just the clip of the Shaggy song. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And it's something that everybody constantly says when I play Mario Kart with Taunt Gaming Crew. Oh, who threw that shell? It wasn't me. And I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, as a person who loves to make, outdated music references and just crossing my fingers like, God, I hope somebody remembers this. Please.
I was offended because I was like, I listen to that song now. It's on my car playlist. Like, so when Solomon was like, "Oh yeah, it's way old," and I'm like, "Yes, but hey, man, look."
It doesn't mean that people know that. People still listen to, whatever they listen to. It's fine. Listen to whatever you'd like.
Listen to
It's up
Jet
to
Set
you.
Radio.
You can listen to Jet Set Radio. You just can't stream Jet Set Radio because
No,
they'll ban you.
they will. Yeah, Sonny was asking me today because I was streaming Tony Hawk Underground. He's like, "The music, how? What?" And I was like, he wasn't that dramatic, probably. I read it in my head as what, but like,
No, it was that dramatic. You were right.
oh, and I'm like, so I found that
music.
maybe he's right. Like, yeah,
As
so
long as
they'll
it's not
mute
Utada
the
Hikaru, you're okay.
yeah, they'll mute the audio for you.
It's true. I did a
As
rock
long as you
band
don't
stream.
upload the VOD, you're good.
I did a rock band stream close to Christmas last year, and as soon as I hit stop streaming, I went back to look at the VOD, and already like all of it was gone.
Yeah,
And I was
yep.
like, yeah, that's
That
what I
checks out.
figured. Yeah. Turns out Bon Jovi takes their copyright very seriously, as they should. Good job, Bon Jovi.
This is actually my second playthrough of Tony Hawk's Underground on my channel. The first one, when I was streaming to a whole 3 people, that's when I learned very early on that, yeah, don't post that VOD. I don't want to get stricken. Great. When I saw it was muted, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
Maybe it's copyright.
Oh no.
So as somebody who came from a dance scene background, like, yeah, I'm familiar. You can't put up anything on YouTube without getting
No.
pinged. It's fine. There's nothing. You know what? And again, like, as is their right. It's their stuff. They can do what they'd like for it. You have to be creative sometimes. You do, but that's the system that we live in, and that's okay that musicians want to get paid for their work. I totally understand.
Yes, absolutely.
It's funny. I started on YouTube, and what got me onto Twitch, the very person I ended up, I'm not going to name drop them, the very person I ended up coming into conflict with, the only person I've ever had conflict with, was the person who was like, "Oh, you're so funny, you should stream." And I did, and it stuck, and it's fun. When you're not sick. Hi, I'm Nostalgia Nate, and today we're going to...
Oh yeah, that was me attempting to keep my stream like record up last week, and then every 3 seconds you can hear me go. But I'm back over here. I'm like, this isn't pleasant for anybody. Nobody likes this.
Dude, there was a case of tuberculosis reported near my house the other day.
Dude,
Okay.
no.
I'm
No.
not even fucking with you. Like, I literally,
good.
I hopped on, I got on my browser, and I always first thing to start the day almost, I just click on a new tab on my browser, and it gives
Open
me
the
all the recommended
incognito,
articles.
squirt the lotion,
No.
Great start to a day.
But it was like number 1. It was like local middle school reports case of tuberculosis, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
A horror show. It's a horror show.
Luckily,
that's like if it's within a mile, like you get tested right away, and you and you deal with it.
Luckily, it's been contained. Like, no one in the school has also tested for it. Not even anyone in the household has tested positive for it. It was just
that's good.
The one person. But also, yeah, speaking of origins, I am curious, how'd you come up with the name bombsolomon? It's a pretty catchy name.
Oh, thank you. I can't believe that I haven't been banned for it yet. bombsolomon comes from the bombsolomon comes from the Super Bomberman franchise of games that's existed since time immemorial. It actually came from, I used to be part of back when I was in college, I was part of a program where college students were mentoring high school students, and I'm Filipino, and we were mentoring Filipino high school students. And one day we held a game night for everyone. I brought my Super Nintendo because I was like, oh, people will have some fun playing some old school games. And we had it on a projector on the wall. It was all exciting. And because none of them had ever seen that game before, and as one of my students helpfully pointed out, like, oh, this game was made when I was born. I'm like, that doesn't help. Thank you. After we were done playing the game, They were like, "Oh man, he's too good. He's bombsolomon." Bomb is has a slant rhyme with my first name, and ever since then, that's been a name that I go to for like aliases and usernames, and it's just kind of stuck. And that was back in 2009, 2010, something like that. So it's been something that I use since then. It constantly surprises me that so many different places allow that username to exist, just because I think that the word bomb has become much less acceptable since 2010
Uh,
in terms of the internet, especially because my name is Solomon also, which
yeah.
has like
Oh, yeah, just now putting that together.
like
Yeah, I didn't put it together until you said it.
It's not something that I realized when I was starting to use that name in a bunch of different places, but I'm always surprised that I have not yet hit a website that says like that can't be your username. That's not allowed. But I still use it.
Interesting thing about the word bomb. I didn't realize it was such a big deal until the Spyro Reignited trilogy came out. In Spyro 2, okay, granted, this man is clearly Middle Eastern, portrayed as a Middle Eastern man, but his name was Bombo, and his name was Bombo because he throws bombs at Spyro, you know?
Right.
The remake, they changed it to Bob. Understandably so, but I guess I never really put it together until I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's pretty 90s. It's pretty, like, not acceptable anymore, but...
But also, Nate, like our friend Jay Laser, he was throwing out suggestions for other stuff for my stream and other stuff for community stuff, and he's like, oh, why isn't it like this or this or this? And like I'm trying to not use the word bomb and other stuff associated with what I do on stream. That's why the follower group is called the Boom Brigade instead of the Bomb
I like
Brigade,
it.
because that would be inappropriate. I am constantly in wonder that nobody has ever been like, are you aware that your username is kind of offensive? I'm like, I'm very aware that it's kind of offensive.
I didn't even,
it's,
man.
but just as the expressions on the two of your faces are showing me, like most people don't think of it that way.
I didn't connect it.
No.
but it is something that is on my mind more often than not. I'm like, oh, I just can't wait for somebody to tell me like, I can't believe that that's your username. Where does that come from? And I'm like, what? Okay, time to give up my identity.
My thing is like, if you go to your channel, like one of the first things you see is like a Paper Mario VOD. Like it takes 2 seconds of scrolling and you see Paper Mario. Mario, one of the most famous little characters, little sprites, is the Bob-omb. So it's like, I was honestly thinking about making a meme on our Milktown Instagram, like kind of like, guess who our guest this week is, and I was gonna literally take a picture of a Bob-omb and then like
Nice.
King Solomon.
Dude, your memes have been the community really appreciates your memes, Sonny. Like you have no idea how starstruck Pale was. Like I got a message. Well, yeah, now you do, but like I got the message. I woke up. He goes, "Bro, you have to send that to me," and I went, "I didn't do it. That was Sonny," but like. Pale Cran was featured in a meme on the Instagram. It was so good, dude.
I just love making Milktown memes,
dude. Milktown's so crazy to me because.
Tell me why.
The way it happened is
serendipitous.
So Sonny and I have only known each other a very short time, and February. I don't think people realize that February we met. And within like a week or two, we got to talking a lot. He was like, "Yo, yeah, man, me and Nate, Milktown podcast," and I'm like, "Oh, like that's nice of him to think of me, as a potential co-host." But nah, we got like really serious really quick, and we were like, "Aight, Milktown podcast, it is."
Dude, this is week number 9.
Yeah,
wait, no, excuse me. This is week number 10, episode number 9.
Yes. Yep.
That's a very impressive production schedule.
Dude,
I know.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I've never been committed to anything that long except for maybe my stream. Sometimes.
And Cherry.
And Cherry, yes. Wow. She'll appreciate that one when she listens, because
I've never been more committed to an idea in my life than this podcast. And my one and only.
And also, how could I forget? the love of my life.
Equal weight
I know.
in each hand.
Equal.
So also there's talking about in Twitch in general, and I want to circle back to that Shenmue VOD. I have a history. No, it's okay. You guys laugh, but Nate knows this. I have a history of like really wanting to have accurate facts.
He's pretty on it.
What a wild idea! Having accurate facts.
No,
Unbelievable.
I mean like
Unbelievable in this modern age. How dare you?
so. At one point in that VOD, like you're playing as your character, and it's like you get a 500 yen allowance from the housekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And your quote was, "Oh, that's very generous. That's a lot of money." And so I think I even wrote down the year.
no.
I might not have.
Oh.
So the game
getting
set.
fact checked. No.
So the game set in like 86, right?
Something like that. Yeah, the mid 1980s.
Uh-huh.
So I looked it up. The inflation between Japan then and now.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference is about 91 yen. So 500 yen in 86 is 591 yen now. I did the conversion to USD. It's $4.64.
But you know what? The buying power in 1986, $4 could get you a whole bunch.
That is true. That is true.
I
And
laughed
I tried to
because-
look up prices of stuff in Japan in the 80s, and I couldn't find an accurate list because I was going to give a reference point, but couldn't find anything that was completely factual.
Sonny and I on another episode were talking about how hard Sonny could throw a burger to deal neck damage. And it was really funny on the podcast we were talking, and I wake up, this man's like, I got it, man. I got the equation right here. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Like, I love that you love facts, but holy moly, that's awesome.
I appreciate the dedication to detail. My price, I have 2 price point references for like buying power. And one is I do remember I was quite young, but McDonald's used to run a promotion for like over a summer where on Tuesdays, I believe you could get their regular little hamburgers for 29 cents each. And then you could get the cheeseburgers on Wednesdays for 39 cents each. And I remember just thinking like, I think back to that moment and I'm like, damn, you could buy a whole lot of food for just a $5 back then.
And they had N64s in the play places.
There was only one
was
McDonald's
good.
near me that had that. And I do remember seeing it just once and being like, what an interesting thing to put in.
Funny thing, I also only remember seeing it a single time. I've never frequented one where it was more than once.
Exactly.
And I was always still more interested in the play place.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're calling them now.
That's how you could do your real life American Gladiator. So of course you'd be more interested.
Yes.
Dude, I got busted up on a play place very often.
I was a big kid. I'm pushing 6 children into the ball pit, and that's my slide. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, come near. I dare you.
But do you remember, or I don't know if either of you experienced this, but do you remember that there also started to be places that were like their own dedicated play place? Like on TV, a local TV here, you'd see a place advertised called something like Discovery Zone or something like that.
There is one here in Utah currently in the mall. Those still exist, and it's just a play place where you could drop your kids off.
It's just like a big indoor playground,
big jungle gym, pretty much. Yes.
That used to be a really big like elementary school birthday party locale. You drop off the kids at like this indoor play facility thing, call it good for a couple hours, and then your kids are tired out.
And they always smell better than Chuck E. Cheese's, which is nice. Yeah, where Chuck E. Cheese's smells like feet and
pizza
and out of order. And you can't tell the difference. They're very close.
There's 2 big ones here in my home state of Missouri. So in Kansas City, there's a place called Science City. Oh, and Science City's cool. Dope.
It is cool.
That's fun.
It's cool. They have a mini golf game where there's a point where you putt into the cups, but it drops down and then it shoots it out of a tube across the whole facility onto another green that it takes like 45 seconds to walk to. Like, it's a distance.
Okay.
But that place is cool. And then so here in St. Louis, we have the City Museum. So technically it is a museum, but it's kind of like contemporary art fused into a play place. Like there's slides and stuff that go through multiple stories.
Oh, we have something similar in San Diego. If you go to Balboa Park and you go to the Reuben H. Fleet Science Center, it is less playgroundy, more really cool science shit that everybody gets to touch. Now, with the panini, as bombsolomon called it earlier, I've never heard it called that before.
They put a lot of on YouTube.
They put a lot of restrictions on it. But as a kid, man, like every year we would go to that place as like a field trip. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, despite like being able to make stuff float in midair and like all the cool stuff, there was a thing where it was just 2 posts.
And they were trying to show you the science of put one hand on each side of the screen and slide it and see how weird it feels. And it does feel weird. It's just a weird feeling. But yeah.
I think those science museums do it right. There's a science museum here in Seattle called the Pacific Science Center, and I took my nieces there, and it's always been kind of a little bit of a destination, kind of lots of hands-on stuff. Like they do that stuff pretty right, I think, and that's always a good way to get people's imaginations going. Like even a different high school kid that I used to mentor, for his graduation like present, like I took him out to lunch and then we went to the museum. Some of it skews a bit young for a high school graduate, but it was still a good time for the both of us to like hang out and see all the stuff there.
Don't underestimate the childlike wonder of an 18-year-old about to enter the world.
That's also true. That's also true.
Don't underestimate me. Maybe he's right.
He's a fully functioning adult. That was quite a while ago.
Yeah, no, because like even in high school, if there was like an off day in chemistry class when I was a senior, I'd be like, "So when are we gonna wheel the TV in and watch Bill Nye?"
Bill. But on the note of chemistry class, Bunsen burner is a fun time. I very stupidly. So the end result was supposed to be melt Cheeto to find caloric value.
A classic.
Okay, that's cool.
And
classic
so we had these little like dishes to put the Cheetos in. I am dumb, so I put mine on the Bunsen burner and I just melt that and it just stretches. And my chemistry teacher, don't remember his name, one of my favorite guys, I swear to God this man came in like stoned every day. There's no way anyone could be that chill. I was like, yo, I made a mistake. And he was like, it's all good. It was an accident. And I was like, oh, like, sounds really wholesome. And teenage me needed that kind of support because I'll never forget. He's like, it's okay. And I'm like, oh, okay.
It is okay.
He had to have been so stoned. I've never met anyone.
You know what, though? I'll bet high school science teachers especially have just seen every damn thing under the sun, that by the time that they saw, young Nate, up and coming rapper young Nate coming up and be like, oh, mister, I made a mistake. He like looked at it and he was like, I've seen a million of these. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. Dude, you lit a Cheeto on fire. Like, you can do that at a backyard barbecue. There's no real mistake there.
Yeah, you didn't swallow 120 milligrams of poison powder DX out of the flask. You're fine.
Don't touch my flask. It's not what you think it is.
Secret chemicals only.
But the professor added an extra ingredient. Chemical X.
Turn it.
And that's the Powerpuff Girls are born.
Turn Nate the 5th Powerpuff Girl.
Okay. No, it was the 4th Powerpuff Girl was the one that was huge. Like gigantic.
She was very tall. And she was very
wait. There was a 4th one?
Yeah. It was I can't remember.
Okay.
Yes.
So like how Gingy had in Shrek had like a giant gingerbread man for like a couple scenes, and then
it's a little bit more tragic than that.
Yeah, but like that scene in Shrek 2, not to go off topic, but watching him die was like so sad for me as a kid.
Yeah, the girls wanted to make a new sister, so they took the professor's recipe and then said like, well, why don't we enhance it a little bit, throw in a little bit some, and then the big sister was born, and she didn't last long.
Oh no. When I think of Powerpuff Girls, I think of I always think of the feminism episode because it teaches I don't want to get too political. It teaches a really healthy lesson about feminism, where the villain is like that feminist blonde lady, and she robs the bank and she goes, "No, I want all of my money in Susan B. Anthony coins." And I'm like, yo, and like she gets the Powerpuff Girls to be like evil, like rob banks and shit for a minute, and then like the mayor's assistant was like, "Yo, there's like healthy, women empowerment, and there isn't," and that stuck with me, and I'm like, hell yeah, man, equality.
I can't tell if there was also another episode about them dealing with Sacagawea dollar coins, because I feel like you saying that story. No, I very specifically remember the villain lady saying, "I want it in Susan B. Anthony dollars." That I remember, but I want to say that there was also a second subplot that had to do with Sacagawea dollars.
I will check.
That has
and I don't want to, this isn't me making a statement about feminism or anything like that. I just thought the episode was really interesting, and like I look back on that now and I'm like, huh, neat. I'm not going to tell other people what their view of feminism. You live your life, man. I'm just saying I thought the episode was done really well. I thought it was funny that she was robbing them, and like, not only do I want your money, but like Susan B. Anthony coins, by God.
In my high school government class, we did a Congress simulation, and one of the things that we learned that Congress can do is coin new money. And so when it was time to write bills, I wrote a bill about we should have a commemorative $2 coin. Everyone hated it. They were like, "Why would you want a $2 coin?" I tell you my like, okay, never mind. Sorry.
You're too close to Canada. You're like, we should have toonies. Like, I don't know.
Loonies and toonies. Who do you think we are?
One of my worst.
This is Vancouver.
I was just there in Tony Hawk. One of my worst. One of the worst group projects ever. It was for like a government economics class in senior year, and I got grouped. I'm not going to say with who, because one of them probably listens to this podcast, and I resent them, and they know I resent them because I bring it up often. The scenario we were given was like, you're locked on an island. So you have a bag of currency, money, and and how are you going to survive and build? I was like, yo, clearly they want us to use the currency to like make trading and bartering easier to do to make a functioning economy. The rest of my group went, nope, bury the money. People are going to fight over it. And we got it wrong. And I'm pissed because I had the right answer. And the teacher was even like, I've only had one group ever get it right. You need to make an actual economy. And I was like, oh. It was frustrating.
You know why your teacher said that? So that in this moment you can tell that story and be like, but that teacher says that every year so they can see the person in their classroom go, oh, I got it right.
Am I just using Milktown to relive high school tragedies?
Oh, if that's what this podcast is, I'm leaving.
No, it's not.
I have too many high school tragedies.
This podcast is almost exclusively for me to find obscure milk facts and share them with the world.
Oh, here it comes.
Obscure milk facts.
Yeah. This one, I wanted to switch it up a little bit.
How obscure are we talking here?
Some of them, they get a little off the rails. Like today, I had to kind of branch out a little bit. I've been doing kind of just like science-y, weird records. And today, I wanted to branch out. So there are many mammals that produce milk.
Yes.
Milk, as we know, turns into cheese.
Oh.
In Mauritania, there exists a camel milk cheese called Caravane.
Oh, no.
That's my milk fact.
Not to be confused with like chamomile tea, which is like something else.
Oh, so I started my garden, but it was inspiration from this YouTube channel called Epic Gardening. He did a TikTok where he said chamomile instead of chamomile.
Chimamale.
He did it as a
Chimamale.
joke, but it's super funny. And now I can't see the word without going, oh yeah, Chimamale.
Easy mix up there. In our garden this year, we're growing onions, which I am
Ooh.
psyched because I've never grown anything before because I grew up in the city. But we, moving in with Cherry, we have yard space. I've never seen how an onion is grown, and they're grown from like these little onion sprouts, and that is so nuts to me, and I love it.
Yes.
I can't wait to pluck the onions. All I care about is these onions. We're growing other stuff. We're growing like peppers and like spinach and carrots and like enough stuff for a salsa and a salad. All I care about is these onions. I want to pluck them, man. Oh, I'm so happy. They're yellow onions. I'm so excited.
I feel like you're really tapping into something like very primal for humans because anywhere here's your onion fact. I know this isn't Onion Town, but anywhere that onions are like endemic in different parts of the world, they have always been introduced into that part of the world's cuisine because they are that like popular and useful as culinary plants. Yeah.
Dude, I was not expecting a second fact.
As someone who cooks, that makes total sense though, because you eat them raw and they're tart, they're tangy, they're like just a nice raw flavor. But when you cook them, the sugars in them break down, they brown, they become sweet. And yeah, dude, onions incredible. I wish I had some.
Are my favorite vegetable.
You say blanched onions?
Oh no, he said onions have layers.
Onions have layers.
Oh, I thought you said also good when blanched.
Trek earlier, so I went there.
Oh, gotcha.
I have
like, damn, you just par cooking some onions, putting them in ice water. Like, okay, that's a new method I haven't heard of.
Yeah, I feel left out, so I'm gonna add a fact of my own.
Oh, third fact.
Backtown.
Did you know there's a reason that water cleanses our skin? And that's because water molecules are polar molecules.
Yeah.
And I just figured I'd share something that probably everybody already knew. But I thought it was really cool when I learned about it because it literally like gets the dirt off of you through magnets. Kinda, sorta. That and the running name for Crash Bandicoot when it was in development was Sonic's Ass Game, which I bring up often on stream. For no reason, but
but you definitely awakened that fact in my mind. I was like, oh, I have not thought about that in a long time.
Yeah, because it is 3D Sonic, essentially. Hallway platforming, you're looking at his ass the whole time.
That's why they have him run toward the camera sometimes.
Damn, I miss Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin. They were the heart of Naughty Dog. Now it's just... It's fine. That's all I'm going to say so that I don't get flamed on this episode. Aww. New Naughty Dog is fine. Old Naughty Dog was better. That's it. Nate, out. Mic drop.
All right,
everybody.
People were like, man, I came here to really support my favorite streamer, bombsolomon, and this Nate guy. He's over here flaming Naughty Dog.
Oh, the crossover between Naughty Dog fans and people who watch my channel must be like two parallel lines that never meet. Like it's the opposite of that.
Actually, when I rate into you, it's more of a perpendicular. It's like a car crash.
with one intersection point.
Yeah, and then I casually flirt with Solomon and then leave. As you do to the homies.
As you do.
You got to do it to him.
Yeah.
If you can't flirt with the homies, who can you flirt with?
Hopefully Cherry, maybe, after this episode. I don't know anymore.
Well, again, equal weighted love.
You can keep saying that, but I'm not going to believe you. I know in my heart of hearts.
You're right. My one true love is Shenmue. No, that's not true.
Dude, so Austin McConnell, my favorite YouTuber, dude from your hometown, there was a Shenmue, I'm like 95% sure, prequel game, like fan-made prequel game, and Austin McConnell voiced a younger version of the main character. Did he do it
in like that same cadence?
I don't know. No, it was a really
you found a cat.
Voice acting.
No, it's something to listen to. He made a video about it. I'm like 95% sure it was Shenmue. You could check me on it. I don't know for sure. But
I'll look at that.
he had to open his old laptop because the version the game ran on was like really, really old. Like he had to go way back. And then like it's a young version of Austin McConnell just going, "Fuck." And I think of that voice clip. It lives rent free in my head. I love Austin McConnell. Such a guy to look up to. I love that guy. He's great.
And actually, I did want to talk about the voice acting in Shenmue because it is really funny. Like compared to that game.
Before we do this,
oh, no.
What was it about the Shenmue VOD in particular that caught your eye on my channel? Because
I literally never see anyone talk about Shenmue.
Very few people ever are like, "Oh wow, Solomon played Shenmue! Wow, incredible!" and I'm just so touched that somebody found that. It's such a weird VOD. It's just these random 2 videos.
Dude, that's Sunny. If it's weird and obscure, he'll find it.
It's true.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. But I was when you sent me the message earlier that you're like, oh yeah, I've been checking things out. I saw some VODs. I was like, okay.
I figured like Paper Mario, Tetris.
Mario, was it something else? Like no, it was the Shenmue VOD.
He said Shenmue.
That caught his attention.
Because
I love it. That game, I have so much affection for that game. All of its jank. Give it a great big hug. I love it so much.
I laugh because I know Solomon's connection to that game. Like he's talked about it on stream before. And while we were playing Mario Kart, people were like your Shenmue VOD actually, or your Shenmue like 8 pulls views is what they were telling me or whatever. Like you got really good views that one time or whatever it was. I don't remember.
That was a weird situation. We could talk about that later.
Yeah, I don't know what happened exactly, but I know that I just brought up that memory for me of a couple other streamer friends we know. And it just made me laugh because I was like, man, I got to talk to him about Shenmue. And of course, Sunny, freaking Sunny. If anyone's going to find it, it's him.
Well, so in all fairness, I watched other VODs. Like I watched you play some Tetris. I watched some Paper Mario. It's just when I clicked on Shenmue, it was like immediately I could tell you love the game, and I was like, all right, I like watching people enjoy things they really enjoy. So I wound up watching both VODs.
So you don't watch me play Ocarina then, I see.
I don't. I don't watch you play Ocarina. I actively avoid Wednesdays on your channel.
It's not Wednesday, it's Friday, bro, and I haven't done one in a long time.
I thought it was Wednesday. Wappa Wednesday.
Wappa Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah.
Crash Banuka.
Shenmue, the voice acting. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with like voice acting culture in general, but so Taliesin Jaffe, he was the little kid in Mr. Mom who was obsessed with his blankie. He became like a pretty prolific voice actor. Now he's on Critical Role. But in the 90s, he was kind of like a pioneer for bringing more obscure anime to America and like getting good quality dub. Because if you watch anime from like the 80s and 90s that it is dubbed, it's terrible. It sounds like it was recorded in a garbage fire. And Shenmue is the same. It sounds like it was recorded in a garbage fire. But that game, were you playing a remaster?
Yes, I was playing the PS4 remaster. So that's why it looks as good as it.
I was going to say it looked incredible.
It definitely looks incredible now. If you go back, there are 2 kind of prolific Let's Plays of it on YouTube. There's one by a group called Weekend Warriors, which is like that's the primary way I revisit the game, watching 2 other guys play it instead of playing it myself, and they're comedic and they're great. Giant Bomb also did a Let's Play of it like years and years and years ago.
Here we go again with the bombs.
Yeah, not related. No cross promotion. They did a Let's Play of it like ages ago, and that was also, but that was on a Dreamcast, and you can see how like gritty and not bad it looked, but how of its time it
yes.
looked if you visit that version of it. But I am. I love hearing like voice acting facts and things like that, because that's like a nerdy point for me, and also being a fan of those old school anime where sometimes it really was a garbage fire, but then there were other ones that were maybe toward the latter part or maybe like the middle of the 90s into the later part of the 90s where like, oh, they got some budget, they got some beef behind this, and like
yes.
it really started to pick up even on like VHSs and stuff like that.
Yes.
And the quality skyrocketed as far as I'm concerned in terms of what they were able to do with it, instead of it just being somebody hiding under a blanket probably and doing 8 voices all at the same time.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't go behind that door. Here, take this health potion.
Well, it's like that where you
You're
look
welcome.
at like Speed Racer, the classic Speed Racer,
Yes,
where it's
yes.
like, I'm going to win the race. Ha ha ha. Like,
Yeah.
it's just them trying to like rapidly match the mouth flaps instead of like trying to actively make it good.
Yeah. I think I saw a video going around where it's old Speed Racer, but it's Rap God. It's like the fast part Rap God.
Oh man.
Like put some Twista over it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was listening to Twista today on my way back from the gym.
Yeah.
But no, speaking of just like the differences there. So
Oh yeah.
during your Shenmue VOD, I was really impressed with your pronunciation of Japanese words.
Oh.
I don't speak Japanese well. I know like some conversational Japanese. But I was like, I literally wrote it down. It says kanji reference, Japanese pronunciation good.
Oh, thank you.
But and then you talked about going to Japan a little bit. What took you to Japan?
I've been to Japan twice. I studied Japanese in high school. We were fortunate enough to have a Japanese program in high school, and so I studied it there for 3 years. My second year of high school, my high school had a sister high school in Japan. I didn't know this at the time, but my high school Japanese teacher was also like a cultural ambassador for this city, and so they set up exchanges back and forth. Our high school had the good fortune to have a week-long exchange program over our break over there, and so when I was in high school, I was 16 years old. I was one of the younger people on the trip. I got to do a homestay in Osaka, and I stayed with a family for a little bit over a week. That helped, and we did activities both with the family and then also with our class. There were maybe about a dozen of us there. We did some local stuff with the high school kids, but then we also did things like we went to Hiroshima and we went to see the Holocaust Museum and things like that. And like that was very, very affecting. That was a thing that kind of kept me up with it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done other formal study of Japanese other than watching anime, which I swear is the only thing that keeps it running in my head since then. And has not worked to expand my vocabulary at all. I still have less than a baby's vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
But I also went in 2019. A friend of mine was running in the Tokyo Marathon, and a few of us decided to go and support him. He was also proposing to his girlfriend at the time, so we were doing moral support. It was very cute.
Nice.
And we did a little touristy trip. We were in Osaka and then we were in Tokyo. And the thing that amazed me about it is that all of the language came back into my head, even though it was something that I had not really been actively practicing speaking. Because I learned it during that time when your brain actually absorbs language and can learn language. I found myself reaching for vocabulary that I had not used in over a decade, and that was kind of a cool thing. And so now I do try to keep up with practice. I was doing Duolingo for a while, but I am by no means fluent. I speak survival level, like metropolitan city survival level
Gotcha.
at best. If I were thrown into some rural town, like kiss me goodbye, like
Oh no,
it's not happening.
my Spanish.
That's where some of it comes from.
That's cool.
My Spanish is about that level. I took a lot of it in high school. I got to go, not part of a school trip, part of a church trip back when I did church. Don't anymore, not super religious. But the one good thing I got to do with the church is we went to the orphanage and we helped clean up all the rooms when we played football with the kids, and it was such a good time. I'll never forget that. But that's about where my Spanish is. I also wanted to point out, not to call you out, but you were totally like telling us about your Japan story, and you moved to cough, and your mic's really good, I guess, at like not picking up. But to me, from where I'm positioned, it totally looked like you were like, oh yeah, Japan was cool, and then you dabbed on the haters, and then you just came back and were like, Which is a really cringy thing to say. That one's for my little sister. She
Japan was
listens to
cool. Sugoi.
Never done this before.
Oh, no. Yeah, you look like you've never done that before.
And that's totally okay.
Don't
You
out
yeah.
me, Nate. I'm an old man. I'm ancient.
Oh, but it's cool that you went to Osaka. So I've never left the country. I had a plan to go to Japan for my 25th birthday back in, it would have been 2020.
Yes.
And I was like, I decided on my 24th birthday, I had a year to plan it. I was like, I'm going to go to Japan. So 24th birthday, December 6th, 2019. Couple of weeks later, something very important happened in the world, shut a lot of the world down.
Oh no.
So I did not get to go to Japan, but it was going to be me and a couple of my friends. We were going to go to Tokyo for a week. If we were going to go on my birthday, I figured, Tokyo would probably be the best place to be for a week, just because a lot of the stuff that I really wanted to do would be kind of off limits. Like watching Japanese soccer was something I wanted to do. It wouldn't have been in season. The sumo museum would have been closed. That would have been something I would have been into. But I love Japan. I love the culture. I've always wanted to go, but I play GeoGuessr on my streams predominantly. And there was a round where it dropped me in an aquarium. And I was like, I'm in an aquarium. Like, how am I supposed to know where the hell I'm at? And I started like clicking around and I see the characters and I'm like, okay, like that kind of looks like katakana. Like I recognize some of the characters just because of the OST for Fire Force is called Inferno, and it's literally like a phonetic spelling in katakana or whatever. So I recognize some of those characters. I was like, okay, yeah, that looks like katakana, so I'm probably in Japan. And then I managed to get outside of the aquarium and I just see like fish stalls everywhere, people selling fish. And I was like, I don't know where I'm at, but I'm going to guess Osaka because I think they have a pretty big fish market. And I was like a mile and a half from the aquarium.
Oh,
and I was like,
very good.
That's very excellent. Yeah, I think that a lot of travel plans to Japan have obviously been on stall. Recently, it sounded like they were reopening to like localized tourist groups from other nations in Asia. So, crossing fingers when there's less of a situation, then
Yeah.
visiting places will be okay again, and that's something that can be done because it was a really cool experience, and do big recommend for me, I suppose.
Ironically, the big giant panda actually incited a lot of the events that led me to become a streamer. Like it did the opposite, where it was ruining life for a lot of people. I met Cherry, and then it hit. So I actually had time to talk to Cherry outside of just like school and work. And then I traveled here, masked up. This was before the vaccine, so it was like, but masked up. Actually moved here that year, and now I'm here. So
it definitely put a lot of people in a lot of different places and positions.
In a way, it paused things so I could get away from where I was and get where I needed to be.
You know what really hurts is whenever I think of like going through that timeline, like, oh yeah, my 24th birthday, I decided that I was going to go to Japan. And then literally weeks later, that's when things started happening for real. Mm-hmm. I'll be 27 this year. Like,
yo, I'm not going to say my age anymore. Every time I say my age, I get shamed.
Why would you get shamed?
Because I'm so young man. And everybody's like,
whatever.
How dare you? You call yourself nostalgia, Nate? You weren't even a seed in your father's scrotum when I was playing Ocarina. And I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Ocarina, whatever.
Well, I'm not going to say something about your age, but something that I do find very funny. Our streamer friend Nate LaVillain was ranking songs that appear in Super Smash Brothers. Of course, Super Smash Brothers spans all of Nintendo's history all the way back into the 80s, etc. It was very funny as somebody who does have all of this nostalgia for so many of those different franchises. Watch him just skip over so many things because he just doesn't know them or doesn't know, it doesn't matter to him. And part of it does hurt, like, oh, he doesn't know these are these things, but also why would he? And so that's kind of his business. It's sort of like I also think about this a lot, about how my little niece, she just turned 4 recently. She is also a big fan of Pokemon. I am also a big fan of Pokemon. I've been a big fan of Pokemon since it came out. She has been a big fan of Pokemon her entire life. Both of her parents, who are close to my age, are both big Pokemon fans. But the Pokemon she knows are the new ones, and she knows the very contemporary Pokemon. And I know I know them all, but like I have a lot of affection for the old ones. And I remember when I got back from Japan, I got her a gift from the Pokemon, one of the Pokemon stores in Japan. And on the bag, there was a collage of like all of the original 151 Pokemon.
151,
and she looks at the bag, like I give her the bag, and I'm like, oh, here's a present, a little niece, and she's looking at the bag, and you can tell that her brain is like trying to work it out. She doesn't know any of these Pokemon, but she can tell that there is something familiar and appealing about it. She's like, you can see her eyes turning and the brain turning, and I'm, what's up? what's going on?
Yeah.
And my friend helpfully reminded me. She was like, well, these Pokemon existed 20 years ago. She doesn't know what any of these are. But she can tell that it's
garbage bag one. I bet
but she can tell. But she can tell that it's Pokemon. She doesn't know what any of these are, but she can tell that it's Pokemon.
Okay.
That's what that kind of what it also reminded me of. Like something as long spanning as that. Or Power Rangers. You guys talk about Power Rangers all the time.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Like it's the it's always the one that you liked when you were somewhere between 8 and 16 years old. Like, of course it is, because that's the one where it gets you in the brain.
So I freak myself out I see the release dates of series I like Crash is a good example. 1996. I was -3. Like the whole Crash trilogy existed before I was even born. And then like all the after games, they're like 04, and I'm like, I played that one growing up. But in 04, I was this many. I was 5 years old, man. Like, it blows my mind.
You were that many in 04. That's cute.
It just blows my mind because like it's still stuff I like playing now. But it was like, man, when they were done with the final release of these games, I was very little.
The thing that I like to do with that is I like to go back to series that I used to watch, like Dragon Ball Z, or I used to watch a lot of Sailor Moon and a lot of other anime from back in like that right on the cusp of anime becoming more mainstream in America, like right before the early 2000s. And I look back, and for example, Dragon Ball Z was still having new episodes into 1997 in Japan, but you would never know that here in the United States, right? But I do think that it's very fun to see that, I'm going to date myself a little bit. Like, I was alive in contemporary when new Dragon Ball Z was continuing to exist. That's an interesting thing. It wasn't just something from the 80s, etc. It was something that was continually being produced at the time that, even though I wasn't aware of it, was, there was new Dragon Ball Z to be had while I was already existing. And I think that that's kind of a cool thing, like, I coexisted with this instead of it just being this relic that was on somebody's shelf. Like that I always find really cool.
Cartoon Network couldn't decide whether Dragon Ball Z was part of the Adult Swim block or the end of the Toonami block. And if my mom came in and saw me watching anything with the Adult Swim logo, she'd like make me change the channel. And I was young, so I didn't know. It cut off on the Cell Saga, okay? Like, Goku was fighting Cell. I'm like, okay, Goku's gonna get Cell. I was clueless that our boy Gohan jumped in later and, like, killed Cell. Until I was a lot older, because my mom would just, like, turn it off. And I was like, oh. She had me turn it off right when Goku was like, I give up. And I was like, no, wait, what do you mean? Wait.
Yeah, that's how the series ends.
Yeah, it broke me.
See, what's funny about that though is so Adult Swim. I never had that stipulation where it's like if that was on TV off, even when I was a young person.
It was similar in my house. Yeah.
And the irony there is my mom, my own mother, would not let me watch Ed, Edd n Eddy until I was older, but I could watch Adult Swim.
That's weird.
But okay, even regardless, the Adult Swim anime block, like they had Dragon Ball Z, they had Inuyasha, they had Yu Yu Hakusho, they had Zatch Bell, like
Zatch
all
Bell.
legit
Take
bangers.
you back, yo.
Zatch Bell.
Dude, I would stay up to like. There was a point in the block where they moved Inuyasha to like 3 a.m. my time. I'd stay up. I'd just stay up on a Saturday night, wait for Inuyasha to come on. Oh, that was my first taste of like.
Joke's on you. It's by Rumiko Takahashi, so it's never going to end. There are going to be 7,000 episodes, and it's not going to reach a conclusion.
Those poor One Piece nerds.
Just like every other work that she's ever done. All of them are masterpieces, but just like every other work she's done, they are endless.
Is Inuyasha endless?
It has finished since then, but series that creator has worked on tend to be very long runners. She also, I believe she also did Ranma 1/2, which is legendary for being very long. And
I realize I've gotten a lot of blue balls watching anime. So, I got cut off when Goku gave up against Cell. I sat there and watched Inuyasha chase Kikyo for fucking X amount of time. I'm like,
how do you think she felt?
I'm like, come on, man. Kagome's right there.
That was such a trademark of those shows.
Yeah, for sure. But I was just like,
you gotta keep it going. It's a show that's produced weekly with no breaks, and it just has to go. You're not gonna, it was a very different marketing goal.
That's like the soap opera of anime.
Air. Yes, exactly.
Have you heard about the production of like how quickly they had to get soap operas? 5 episodes a week, nonstop. Those writers, they'll bring characters back from the dead and kill them again and just keep it going so they could run ads, obviously, for soap. Obviously more than soap now, but like back then it was a radio thing. So my older sister was really into Passions. That is a soap opera.
Is that the one with the
I couldn't tell you. I have no clue. I think there's like witches in it, but I cannot confirm that. I can't confirm that's true. I'd have to ask her. I think
you're right.
She would never miss an episode of Passions, dude.
No, because it's got that.
To play Crash Bandicoot Warped. She was like, "Nah, give the tea back. We're watching Passions." And I'm like, "Did she die 2 episodes ago?"
It had that actor in it who played like the young Grinch, right?
Oh, maybe. I have no clue. I couldn't tell you.
Like in the Jim Carrey Grinch. Like the little baby Grinch.
New fun fact for me.
I'm pretty sure that was him because he was.
Passions and then Days of Our Lives. She was not as into that one, but that one played a lot.
All I know about soap operas is that my grandmother used them to pass the time until she could see her one true love, who was Bob Barker. Price is Right.
Oh, solid choice. Solid choice.
She had a big fat crush on Bob Barker, and she would always want to see him on the television. But
we got to watch.
To get to Bob Barker, you had to sit through Days of Our Lives first.
In Spanish class we got to watch telenovelas because he was like, yo, like they're speaking fluent Spanish. See if you could pick up on it. You're in Spanish 3-4 now. And I was like, word, okay. And I was starting to understand. And then I'd get into them. But then I remember that, like, I can't get too attached. I got English class in, like, 15 minutes. We're just doing Othello in that one, and that's not as fun. But, whatever. I like Othello. That's my favorite Shakespeare play.
I have a question for you, though. Were you watching actual telenovelas, or were you watching Destinos?
Oh, I don't know the difference.
So I didn't take Spanish in high school, but the thing that I remember is that my friends who did take Spanish, they would watch a show called Destinos, which was a telenovela style educational show that was that was written to be like instructional in Spanish because you had to keep track of all the familial relationships and all these like complex plots.
No, it was the real deal. Like off Netflix, he was just like, "Fuck it, we're watching this," and I was like, "This is excellent."
Oh man, Netflix in the classroom. See, this is emphasizing the age difference.
Yes, yeah. It was weird. It was a weird shift. So like, I grew up more whiteboard. I don't want to say chalkboard sometimes, but like very computerless from like K to second grade. Third grade, we kind of switched and we had those projector things with the you could put like the transparent
The
paper
overhead.
yes, with the overhead
Yeah.
and the expo marker. I really like sat through all the different generations. By the time we were in high school, there was Netflix and there was
The dream.
oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. That stupid game that everybody played, and you could pick your own name, but like the teachers would be like, make it appropriate. So like I had to get
Kahoot.
rid of.
Kahoot?
Yes, Kahoot. That's the one. Yep. And
I only learned what Kahoot was like last year.
yeah, and we had that only my senior year. So I really went through a lot of technological change. I didn't learn any computer literacy until college, though. I was crap at computers until graphic design came along, and like you're gonna use shortcuts or you're gonna fail your deadline. It's up to you. And I'm like, yes, okay. And now I'm very fluent in Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. I'm more fluent than I give myself credit for because I sure did bang together something for the YouTube for Milktown for the main screen to put the audio over the wanted poster. That was fun because so fun fact about the wanted poster and such. I have a file on my computer that's just textures that I took pictures of with the camera. Because there's so many textures and PNGs online that are locked behind paywalls or have like, watermarks. I was like, I'm just going to crumple up this paper bag, snap a picture of it, overlay that if I want something to look old. I'd use that for like a cave wall project once. So, really cool. I've learned a lot, but I was not computer literate throughout high school.
Hey, even at that point, you're doing better than a whole lot of people. So.
Yeah.
I was remembering the other day, and I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but the computer lab that I had growing up, there was a game essentially that was it was like a visual novel maker for like little kids, and it had like assets that you could drag and drop with backgrounds and stuff, and then it had text boxes at the bottom, and you could write your own like visual novel.
Nice.
That's cool.
That kind of teaches typing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It's very cool. I don't recall anything like that.
I remember in the library of my elementary school. So Oregon Trail is this big old like it's a big meme, right? But like for some reason nobody else has this memory of when I was in 4th grade learning about the gold rush. They sat us down in the library and were like, we're going to play Oregon Trail. Stock up on bullets, like go for it. And I'm like, what? And everybody else is like, oh, it's just some indie. What? I'm like, dude, that was like part of my education. I thought everybody was just playing Oregon Trail.
Oh, I played Oregon Trail.
In like, 4th grade or whatever.
We didn't play Oregon Trail, but we did have a game called Amazon Trail, which I think was like made by a sister company or something like that. And it was the exact same thing. You followed the adventure of like different eras of time, like traversing from one end of the Amazon River to the other. But we were familiar with the Oregon Trail. I mean, to give you a little bit of a hint, that Nate, like when computers were in classrooms when I was in like elementary, even through early middle school, it was like the green one color.
I was about to say, were they the
computers?
Big,
that were nothing. But we did have a computer lab when I got into middle school, and they would teach us like typing literacy and things like that. At the time, I was very fortunate. My dad was an earlier adopter of America Online, so I learned how to type pretty quickly because of that. And so the computer teacher, who was like another teacher in the school, would always be really amazed. They'd be like, Solomon, why do you type so fast? And be like, oh, because I talk to people online all day because I'm an internet child. And they'd be like, what?
In contrast to that, my parents late adopters of everything. Like we didn't have a home computer until I was like 13. Like, and I was a 2-finger typer.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything,
my dad owned his own business. He still does, so he would use it for like invoicing and everything like that. And he roped me into that when I was quite young, and so I learned how to type that way and do 10 key and things like that. And so that's always fortunately that's always been kind of part of what I had access to. But there were other Just like everything else, it was just older, a much older era of technology, I suppose.
Yeah. And then I think I was explaining today, I got a lot more questions today about like which PS2 is better. I cannot tell you technically which PlayStation 2 is better, but they were like very intrigued that I'm not an emulation person.
Oh,
And they were like,
play on original hardware.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
Is it worth it? And I'm like, for me, I mean, when you have this collection of games, yeah, to me it's worth it. I'm having fun. But at the same time, it could get expensive. So,
Yes.
Absolutely.
I always tell people I have no opinion. I don't consider it breaking the law, man. I'll look the other way. I don't care. Don't break the law, guys. That's all I can say.
I've been getting these recommended videos on YouTube about people buying like ROM hacks in cartridge form for like N64s and Super Nintendos and stuff.
Okay.
And apparently, and they'll break them open, they'll show the hardware and stuff, and essentially, like it's put together the exact same way because they put it in the console, it reads it, whatever. And I guess there's like a real issue with people buying original cartridges. A lot of times they're like sports games, like stuff that there was a lot of, like Madden games and stuff like that. And they'll take the motherboard, they'll repurpose it, and then they'll put a ROM hack on it.
Wow.
But there are like people out there that are taking like 3D printing the actual casing, and then the stuff, the components that they're using, they're half the size, obviously, because technology is streamlined. At least since the time that was produced. But it actually sparked a thought in my head where I'd mentioned this to Nate once. I was like, I think it would be really funny if we made like a 2D PvP fighting game that was like me versus Nate for Milktown.
That'd be so good.
And I was like, oh, in my head, I pictured it as like an 8 or 16-bit fighting game. And I'm like, okay. And then I see that and I'm like, oh, dude, we could legit make that game,
probably
put it on a cartridge and play it on RetroArch.
You definitely can. And one of the issues that comes up with that is there are people in like preservation communities who are worried that, oh my gosh, the old hardware is being cannibalized for these new projects. Now I don't know if that must be true on some level. I don't know if we're ever going to run out of copies of, like, for Super Nintendo, NFL 92. I think we have enough copies of that to turn into something else. But I can't imagine that at some point, there's only so much of that hardware remaining for you to turn into repros of something else that work on original hardware. But there's a huge market for that, and also a huge population of people that's interested in preserving all that, because once it's gone, nobody's making that anymore.
Yes. And that's so I shared it on the Milktown Discord. It was this YouTuber, and I'll go there to give this person credit now.
I was gonna say a game there might be a lot of is the last game they made for the N64. Do you know what that is? You could fact check me if I'm wrong.
Here or in Asia?
Here, as far as I know. The last game that came out. The last game that came out for N64 before.
So N64, what was the next console? Was that GameCube?
GameCube. Yeah.
I do know this.
Do you know what game it is? If you do,
I do. Impressed. It was Pro Skater 3.
Yeah, it was. It's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, baby.
What was I?
Yeah. Wow. All right. I'm so proud of you, Sonny. Holy shit.
I listened.
I thought it was going to be Dr. Mario 64.
Yeah. The last one was Pro Skater 3. Fun fact about that. Sorry, eBay seller. Somebody sold me a copy of the PS2 version of the game, supposedly. I opened the case, I got the PS1 version. A, didn't know a PS1 version existed. B, also taught me that, so there's a 5th generation Pro Skater 3 and a 6th generation one. And they look very different, and they play very different.
I can't imagine why.
And so I opened the case, and it was a PS1 game, and I was like, oh, God. I was so disappointed. I think I gave him like a 4-star instead of a 5-star or something, because I was just a little bummed. And that might have been a Karen move, but like he messaged me and went, "Please give me 5-star," and I'm like, "Nah, man, like you broke my heart." Like,
did they tell you to reread the item description?
No, I read it. It was supposed to be for the PS2. He was just like, he was like, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Yeah, me too. I'm sorry that I have to make another purchase. Like, I'm not gonna ask for a refund on this. I'll keep your shitty PS1 copy, but it's not what I wanted." Right. That's like putting mayo on Sunny sandwich. Sometimes I just want to fucking chuck it back in your forehead. That's what you said.
Cut it out. No, I did find that video. I posted it in my own Discord, but it was a YouTuber named Nick Robinson. The video is called "The 10-Year Hunt for the Lost McDonald's DS Game."
I know this guy. Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with it. This guy cracks me up.
Yes, very much so. But I watched that whole video, man. It's super interesting. It's like 45, 50 minutes long.
He's like, yeah, so the bidder for the game, he's being very, like, he was acting like he didn't have the game. He's like, that bidder was me. And I was like, oh, dude, the way he scripted that,
it was really good.
Apparently that's something that he does for like a lot of stuff. I do remember seeing that video recommended to me, and I'm like, I'm a curious person. I like this kind of stuff. Let me see.
Yeah.
And of course, while I'm watching, I'm scrolling down to the comments, and then all of them being like, "Oh, he did it again." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what that means. What did he do again?"
I thought you were like, "I know that guy. He's a sham." I was like, "Is he a sham? What's wrong?"
No,
no. You just looked familiar. I guess that was a familiarity look, and I confused it for like a disappointment. I was like, "Are you good?" So
I do remember that name. He also found this. I want to say that this is the same person who.
Are you gonna talk about the Domino's app?
No, he found like there's a white guy who's a broadcaster in Japan. He's like flawless Japanese because he's worked there for decades, and I guess like he also found him and like asked him about his work or something like that. That's how I came across this channel originally. That's how I also found the McDonald's video.
That was in conjunction with the Domino's Hatsune Miku app. The guy that did the advertisement for that, he was the CEO of Domino's Japan, and that commercial is he's like, "Have you heard of Hatsune Miku?" And he's like, "I love this guy so much," and he did find him. That's a really interesting video as well. That night I watched a lot of his stuff, but I had seen the Hatsune Miku app where he found an old phone that had that version of the Domino's app on it, and he preserved the app so that way people could see the Vocaloid features in it.
Like Flappy Bird. If you have a phone with Flappy Bird on it. Yeah.
My old Android tablet with Flappy Bird.
Oh, you putting it up for sale? Yeah.
No, nice. I thought about it for this long and decided that having the crappy tablet was still worth it. That's what I did.
There's a point where they were just throwing out tablets. If you bought a phone, you got a tablet. You wipe your ass, you got it. Do you remember that? When tablets were just coming out with everything.
Every once in a while, I do think, like, is that something that I want in my life again? Do I want a tablet? And then I look at my phone, it's like almost as big as the tablet that I used to have. And I'm like, no, I think I'm okay.
No,
right.
Like, and then for a minute, I was like, the Kindle, do I want that? Because, it's like an e-reader, whatever. Not really. Like, I can kind of read stuff on my phone and listen to audiobooks. I still got to get on that Narnia. I've been so interested lately. YouTube has taken the algorithms pulled me in once again.
It's all good, man.
People are doing no, not into Narnia. People are doing the how to survive videos, like different horror movies and stuff. And I'm a really big fan of those. Just
getting into like real Scream territory there.
Yeah,
you got to steer the algorithm your way. Start watching whatever else. Unless you're
it's true. I do subscribe to a guy that makes cheese. He's an Australian guy, and I found him through a meme, and the meme was like someone did a YouTube dive, and in the middle of the night they wound up on one of his videos, and his salutation at the beginning of his video is "Good day, curd nerds."
Nice.
Instant winner.
Is that like a nostalgia nerd who's gone bad?
No, because
bad apples they just curdle.
But no, in all seriousness, this guy is incredible. He's Australian. He just makes his own cheese at home, and it's really interesting to watch. He makes different types of cheeses, and he's like, "I've never made this. I'm worried it's gonna fail, but I think we did good." And like,
the way that sentence came out, you went, "He's incredible. He's Australian." You made Australian sound like a selling point, which is fine.
It is a selling point.
We love you, Australia. I'm just making that clear. The way you worded that, he's incredible. He's Australian, and say less. That's it.
I did what you're not supposed to do, and I just searched for this person, and yes, this is incredible.
Right? He's awesome.
I heard him say the line. I'm won over instantly.
Right? He's legit incredible.
My favorite TV show currently comes from Australia, so I'm a big fan of this.
What show is that?
It's a show called Have You Been Paying Attention? It is a weekly comedic panel show. So they have 2 regular guests and 3 rotating guests, and the 2 are media personalities, comedians, radio hosts, and then the 3 are actors, comedians, other funny people. And the host reads like trivia questions from the previous week, and then everyone just riffs on it. But then eventually somebody gives the right answer. They treat it like it's a game show, and they have a lot of fun with it. It's a very popular TV show format apparently everywhere in the world except for here in the United States.
Good time.
It's a very good time. I'll send you some clips, and people can.
So if there's 3 guests, then are we all eligible right now? Like,
oh, I mean, if we become famous media personalities in Australia, then we might be able to.
That would be tight. That'd be so sick.
You play in that Shenmue, bro, you'll get there.
oh yeah. That's the goal. That's the goal. Become a famous media personality in Australia.
Hell yeah, dude. So speaking of that, what's the next interesting item on your stream schedule?
Ooh, next interesting item on my stream schedule. Well, I'll be getting back into some narrative games, and I'll be finishing a game called Kentucky Route Zero, which I'm very excited to do.
I've heard of that.
I sure did think he was going to say Kentucky Fried Chicken right there.
No, a lot of people do. It's a narrative game about he's kind of like he's an older gentleman who works for a delivery company and he works with an antiquer who is going out of business, and he's making his one final delivery, and the address that he's supposed to deliver this whatever it is to is on an address he's never heard of before. And he
Sherman,
finds
42 Wallaby Way, Sydney.
It was not 42 P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. And he finds out that the place that he's meant to go to is on a road he's never heard of before. It's the Zero, Kentucky Route Zero.
Oh.
And it's about him encountering a bunch of different people, finding out what their stories are. And there are 5 parts. I got through 2 of them before work hell took over my life, and now I can get back into it. So I'm excited to go back into that. I also decided that one thing that I want to do over the summer, since it will be summertime and weather will be nicer, I want to play Breath of the Wild again. I'm going to call it like Hyrule Summer Camp or Hyrule Summer Break. I haven't played Breath of the Wild since it came out. I never 100%ed it, and I don't plan to. Just something fun to play, because I feel like that game really captures the magic of what the Switch is actually capable of doing. Nothing was better than, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm holding my Nintendo Switch in my handheld, but I can put it on my TV. But it's also the biggest, most incredible Legend of Zelda game I've ever played in my entire life. It's just here. And I'm trying to recapture a little bit of that.
When I was taking
those are some of the plans.
When I was taking a break from Wampa Wednesday, I was doing Wild Wednesdays.
Ooh.
And so I did start Breath of the Wild. I haven't done any of the Divine Beast yet. I don't know if I'm going to go back. I don't know. I have to recalibrate my schedule. It's
Breath of the Wild is a game that you just gotta like nibble at your own pace. It's very much a thing to just kind of enjoy it at your own pace. I have thoughts about like what games are actually good for streaming and what games are maybe not so good for streaming. I don't know if Breath of the Wild is a really great one, but it's also like it's relaxing and it's nice and people like it, so why not? But yeah, that's kind of the thought.
It's funny that you bring up Kentucky Route Zero, because there was a point, I think it was before we started the podcast, and Nate and I were just having discourse on like how we wanted our streams to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, so you do GeoGuessr, what else do you want to do? and I was like kind of going into some of the stuff. Unfortunately, I'm limited by my hardware at this moment in time, but I was like, yeah, I like weird shit, and Nate even mentioned it earlier. It's like if there's something weird, Sonny's gonna find it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love
of
weird
fun.
shit, and I saw Kentucky Route Zero on. I think it was on the PlayStation Store that I first saw it. I was looking for indie
Probably
games that were like really well received. There was like that, and like Moose Man was another one that I was looking at. But yeah, I really like weird games like that. And I think if I remember correctly, Kentucky Route Zero, like the thumbnail for the game is like a racehorse, isn't it?
It looks like a racehorse. It's actually it's like a dog with flopsy ears, and then it's wearing a hat.
Oh,
but,
okay.
but you wouldn't like you'd be forgiven for thinking it's a racehorse unless you were right up close to it. You'd never know what it was.
Somehow
and
Pokemon's running
yeah.
out of ideas and has to use garbage bags and shit. Excuse me. That's plenty of fresh material right there.
That was over 10 years. The garbage bag Pokemon was over 10 years. Let it go.
I'll never.
What? Garbage bag Pokemon? Oh, we're talking about like Garbodor.
Yeah, Trubbish and Garbodor.
Rubbish? Is that their
Trubbish
name?
Trubbish is the little one, and then Garbodor is the
wow. I just got into Pokemon Go again recently. It's the only Pokemon game it's the only game I really play. I think I brought this up on another episode, and then Sonny was like, "How could you?" But like, I'm not a big fan of like turn-based gameplay. Like, it makes me
that's fine.
bored.
There's nothing wrong with not being a fan of turn-based.
Well, he thinks it's weird because I play D&D or I enjoy D&D. I don't know. It's just it feels different. I can't really explain it other than that.
You don't have to explain. Nobody can explain liking. So humans like things or they don't like things, and then they start liking things and start liking other things. Nobody can explain that.
I pointed out the irony in the similarities of the two, being
That's
that he enjoys D&D so much, and the combat system is very similar to other things. But that's already on another episode. That whole conversation was. But yeah, Nate's not. He wasn't a big Pokemon head. I was.
Didn't grow up with Nintendo.
That's okay. You escaped. I'm still there.
Escaped. I'd like to be into it. Like, Cherry loves Pokemon, and I wish I could have the way she gets when she plays Pokemon. I wish I could have that. And I do with other games, but like, man, she gets so excited every little thing. She'll pick up an item and she'll have a field. She just gets so excited, and I'm like, damn, getting old sucks. Like,
I definitely have had that feeling where I have friends who are very fervently into something, and then I'm like, man, I wish I cared about anything as much as you care about this.
Yeah,
because I feel like my life would be a lot more pleasant if I was into something as much as you're into this. I'm sure that there are things that I'm into that are at that level. I just don't because it's me.
I'm into Sunny at that level.
Feeling.
Sunny's pretty fucking cool. Love that guy.
Dang.
Yeah, but I was going to use that as a segue for our listeners. If you're not into BombSolomon, you fucking should be.
Okay, yeah, no, that's just wrong. That's against the rules, man.
Go check out BombSolomon's his stuff, man. So do you have a set schedule that you stream like particular days?
I try to stream most Tuesdays and Thursdays starting around 7 or 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And it sometimes wavers around by about half an hour or so, just depending on if I get home from work on time and other stuff like that. But usually around 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, Tuesdays, Thursdays. I usually try to do at least one more during the week and then at least once on the weekend also. But that can be kind of sporadic and random. But yeah, that's the usual schedule. You can also find me playing Mario Kart with our friends over at Taunt Gaming Crew, a group of streamers that we hang out with on Mondays at 8-ish p.m. Pacific time. They play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and we just yuck it up for 3 hours and have a good time.
And it's open, so Sonny, if you ever want to hop in the call, man, like it's open for anybody to come in.
Well, I mean, now I'm actually in the Taunt server. I instigated the duelist role, so
yeah. If you want to show me that you're a truly powerful duelist, I'll play Master Duel with you.
Yes. There you go.
I only have one deck built right now because I don't believe in spending real money on in-game currency.
Oh, I absolutely, and especially not for Konami. They actually are quite generous with the in-game currency that they give you. I was actually very surprised that Konami was so generous with how much currency they give you.
It's true. You get currency for literally everything. It's like you logged in, you hit down on your joystick, dude. Here's 500 currency.
Exactly, and that's exactly how they term it too. 500 currency. Have fun.
I try to facilitate different streamers from different parts of Twitch together. I try to like facilitate people coming together.
I think that you succeed.
So it's really wild for me to see bombsolomon and Sunny Says Stuff on one call. That's really cool for me. So I'm just sitting here like, damn, it's complete. I've done something today.
It's doing the Lord's work, people.
No, it's so cool to see so many different people from different walks, man. Makes me so happy.
Definitely is.
I think that Nate, you got I don't want to say that you're lucky for having met me because that sounds very narcissistic. But I'm the type of person that gets genuinely excited about most things. So it's like
not to toot my own horn. No,
it's just like, so you're excited that we're happy to be here and talking to each other.
Yes.
But I'm also the type of person that wants to facilitate like literally learning about everything else. So granted, I've never played Shenmue. I don't play Tetris. I don't really play Mario games like that. I've never finished a Mario game. I've never beat a castle in a Mario game.
What? Wow.
Yeah, for real. But
I'm coming over. Hold on.
But I enjoy talking about it. Like, I know the lore. I like learning shit. So it is fun. And it was a blast having you on today, bombsolomon. This was a fun time.
Well, you know, I do have to thank you both for having me on today. Especially want to thank Nate for, you know, us finding each other and also, you know, inviting me into different parts of your world. Not a Little Mermaid reference.
I was going to sing, but I thought better of it.
I'm just so happy that you know, we were able to share this time together and share some stories. You know, if you're ever in the mood for other kinds of working together, more than happy to hear out your ideas. It's been a real pleasant time. So thank you both so much.
Yeah, hey, not a problem.
I was waiting for the next. I don't know if we're doing Paper Mario anymore. I think you finished that, right?
I did finish that.
I'm waiting for the next invite to guest. I got to guest on his Paper Mario, and I'm like, hey man, how many F-bombs do I get? He's like, well, you get none because I get one, and he tries to keep it like PG-13, and I'm like, oh hell yeah.
It happened. I don't know if you were there, but it did happen.
Oh, did it? Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun thing. I do try to keep my streams family friendly because I know that younger kids watch Mario and they watch Pokemon and they watch other stuff. So I do try to keep it clean. One day I did have a very, very young person come in and ask me, is it okay for young kids to watch while I was playing Pokemon? And then they said, yeah, this is Nate's nightmare. And then they said, I said, well, did you get your brother's permission to use his computer? And he said, yeah, it should be okay. My brother's playing Xbox. This was at like 11:30 at night my time, and I was like, I don't know who this kid is, but we're gonna have to be extra nice.
No, that is a night. It couldn't be me. And it's funny only because like I play Crash and Spyro, and at first I was like, well, those are kids games, but they were for kids who are now adults. Like no kids are in the fucking Crash or Spyro. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep my 18+. I do want to play Skylanders because Toys to Life. We got to do an episode about Toys to Life later, man, because I could go on. But
I don't know much about that. That was past me.
It was past me too, but I've only recently learned about the beauty of Toys to Life, and I need to know more.
Now it's dirt cheap to get into too.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah. Anyway, that's for another time.
I was like finishing high school whenever like Disney Infinity and Skylanders were big.
I was starting high school. It was over my demographic, but I really want to get into it. Anyway.
Fair enough.
Skylanders pre-Amiibo world.
Yeah. Well, I only like Skylanders because Spyro was the inaugural like character for it. bombsolomon, you sexy man, you.
This has been an episode of Milktown Podcast. I am one of your milkmen, Sonny Says Stuff.
I'm Nostalgia Nate.
I'm bombsolomon.
There it is. And hope you guys have a good fucking week. Enjoy. If you're in the States, enjoy your holiday because this will drop on your day off. You have all day to listen to it.
Well, yes. I forgot about my 3-day weekend until just now. Also, before we forget, fuck!